2025 is nearly done and Paradox has already released two of its major releases this year. As you might already know, Europa Universalis 5 was a pretty good release, generally very favorable opinions, although it's not S tier level good yet. It's probably going to take a year or two of expansions and updates to reach that level, which is to be expected. No one expected anything less than that. We've also got Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 release, miraculously is finally out, and that's not doing as well as EU5. The general consensus is that it's a decent game, but it's not Bloodlines, it's not an RPG. It's more of an action game with a Vampire the Masquerade story around it. New information has just been revealed recently, some insight about the fact that previous developers did advise Paradox Interactive to drop the Bloodlines 2 title, which allegedly, Paradox refused. But either way, the game is out and I think Paradox are just glad it's done and dusted. Now the question we all have is, what's next for Paradox? What's coming up in 2026 for the grand strategy developer, now that all their games have DLC content out for them? Crusader Kings 3 got the All Under Heaven Asian focused DLC, which is good, but I think it leaves a lot to be desired on the state of the game itself in terms of it being a challenging game. Hearts of Iron 4 just received No Compromise, No Surrender. Not sure how that is since I don't play Hoi 4, but Hearts of Iron fans, you tell me how this DLC fares. From what I've seen, it's another good release from them. I think follow up to what they did with like Gotterdammerang. Solaris will be receiving its last content under Season 9, the Infernals Race Pack, which I hope isn't some sort of Stormgate crossover. Of course, Victoria 3 got the Charters of Commerce DLC back in June, which was also very well received and some say is a move in the right direction for that game, although I'm waiting for the DLC that will rework Warfare, which I think needs a bit of a refurbishment in that area, if it ever comes out. Victoria 3 is the last game receiving a DLC this year in December 11th with the Iberian Twilight Immersion Pack, a DLC focused on Spain and Portugal with narrative content on these former great empires re-establishing themselves as world powers during the Victorian era. For 2026, we do know that Europa Universalis 5 will be getting some expansion content already revealed with the premium edition of the game, which comes with the expansions for next year. It begins with the Fate of the Phoenix in Q2 2026, an immersion pack focused on the Byzantine Empire, bringing about the glory days of the old Roman Empire. The other two are Chronicle packs, which I've seen many fans a little uncertain as to what Chronicle packs are, but from what I can see from the descriptions of these DLCs, the Chronicle pack seems to be more tied to a specific scenario or strategic location. It doesn't focus or go deep on individual nations as much. The Across the Pillar Chronicle pack focuses on the Straits of Gibraltar and how some nations around it, Castile and Morocco particularly, will get new options that enable them to take advantage of this strategic location. This comes out in Q3 2026. The Old Alliance is of course about the French-Scottish alliance. How will this alliance open up new options to beat back the English, and perhaps Scotland will rule the waves? This Chronicle pack releases in Q4 2026. I must say I'm slightly disappointed that there isn't a single major expansion included here in the premium edition. Perhaps it's something Paradox is still thinking about and might actually do for 2025, or perhaps they will continue to update and improve EU5 to a good place in 2025 before thinking about a major expansion that adds any new mechanics. That is most likely the case, but I won't be surprised they announce a major expansion for EU5 later next year, perhaps for a 2027 release. I do think Paradox will announce what's to come in 2026 in December before they go on leave. Perhaps no reveals yet at what the games might be, but they will probably say how many new games they have in the pipeline in 2026. And I strongly believe that number is 2. In terms of Paradox Development Studio games, not published games or their IPs like City Skyline, which may be a console release might be on the cards, or Prison Architect 2. Oh, I doubt so though. I'm almost certain, 99% certain, Paradox are working on Hearts of Iron 5. 2026 will mark the 10th anniversary of Hearts of Iron 4, so a sequel, a number 5, which traditionally follows the release of a new Europa Universalis, is due. Now, do I think HOI 5 will be released next year or even be revealed next year? That's a bit tougher to predict. I don't really have the info when this will happen, but I do know they are probably working on this. Ever since Paradox delayed the release of Hearts of Iron 4 from its planned 2015 release date to 2016 due to the feedback they received from playtests, they've been very careful about not announcing things too early, and I don't think this has changed recently with multiple delays of Bloodline 2s and games being indefinitely put on hold. Paradox will be extremely careful about this. EU5 was announced and released within 6 months? Although it was the worst kept secret, as game director Johan Anderson just loved talking about it more than a year before it's revealed, and CK3 was within a year after the reveal, so at most I would guess that any new game announcement would be made when they are absolutely confident of hitting a release date that's at least a year later max. Hearts of Iron 5 most likely would have been already in the works. I can't say what HOI 5 could actually be in terms of gameplay mechanics. Although HOI 4 was pretty successful, I've heard a lot of mixed feelings on the whole national tree idea of making alternate history a mere click of a button on a tree. I'm not sure if HOI 5 will go more the simulation route like EU5 and ditch the national tree idea, but you tell me in the comments, what would you want the key feature in HOI 5 to be? There is a possibility Paradox could spring another EU5 move with HOI 5 announcing the game in May or even earlier and releasing it in November. Then there is the mysterious non-historical new Paradox Grand Strategy game teased in job ads by Paradox and possibly, not confirmed, designer Dan Lind might be working on, as he hinted on X previously. I've read a lot of your comments in my previous video about this non-historical game, and I do think it could also be a Stellaris 2, which Stellaris is also 10 years old next year. Stellaris, while not as popular as Hearts of Iron or Europa Universalis, or as accessible even as CK3, still has a huge player base that continues to play it because there simply isn't anything like it in terms of the sandbox space empire drama that often unfolds. I know in the job ads the word new throws out the hint that this could be a Stellaris sequel. Whether this is a new IP or a new game, I can't tell with 100% certainty. But also, think about this, the possibility of a Stellaris spin-off game, like a Stellaris Grand Strategy game on a single planet. More expanded story of factions vying for control, more politics, and more resource management that's less abstracted at the scale of Stellaris. But I also do see a problem with Paradox's lineup of games. If this is the case, they've been working on sequels for years now without a true new IP. Stellaris was actually their last new IP. If you don't count March of Eagles or Sengoku, which were smaller scale games based on the engine and systems of their bigger siblings. No, I don't think Paradox is interested in making smaller scale games like those games today. They probably would want a heavy hitting game that could potentially bring in a whole new audience, just like what Stellaris did with its space sci-fi setting. Which is why a new fantasy setting grand strategy game could be a really good new IP for them. Fantasy is very common in the 4X genre, but a grand strategy game, that's a bit more rare, and Paradox could take a stab at this and build a whole new franchise for themselves. This would benefit them greatly, and I think I would be very interested to see what could a Paradox grand strategy game be in a fantasy setting. How would that look like? Either way, I'm looking forward to what they have to announce. Whatever Dan Lind is working on, he has worked on it for quite a while, as he hinted, so we might not have to wait too long for it in 2026 to find out more. Of course, these are just what Paradox development studios could be working on and announce next year. There's more to Paradox than just the PDS games, but somehow I doubt they will make huge announcement on published games or externally developed games, seeing how they've completely burnt so many games and studios down on that front. Anyway, do tell me your personal wishlist of Paradox games you think they will announce or wish they will announce next year. Your dream Paradox game that we haven't got yet. Share with us in the comments. Continue watching this video where I talk about the supposed non-historical Paradox grand strategy game, or this video where I talk about Europa Universalis 2, a game that made Paradox who they are today. Thanks for watching and farewell, noble friends.